Are you interested in finding out how to manage your number one priority in January? Hi, I'm Tanya Shipman from Business Automation 101, and I'm going to show you how in this video. So in previous videos, I asked you to identify your important things, both in your family and in your business, in your life. And then I asked you to identify what your priority was for January, your number one priority. There are lots of things that you might need to get done, but what's the number one thing that you want to get done? And post down in the comments below what your number one thing is. Then we know what we're working with. So your number one thing has to be completed by the end of January. Now, you may need to have it go into February or March or however long it might take, especially if you're into software development. They're not done quickly because they're so complex and so much work in them. But it might be a product, it might be a launch, it might be a networking event. Whatever your number one priority is, you have to identify it first. And if you've done so, write it down in the comments below. So how do you manage your number one priority in January? You write down how many days are left in the month, and we're at the 10th, 11th of the month, depending on whereabouts you live in the world. And as you all know, I'm a day in front of everybody practically. Write down how many days are left and then start listing down what has to be done. And start at the big level at this stage, because you're just writing down what are the big things you have to do. So let's say, for example, you want to write a book. So you have to write down what's the book about, what are your chapters going to be. You're going to write down how big a book you think you want to write. You're going to write down your, as I said, your chapter levels, and then the dot points of what you want to cover in each chapter. So you've got a broad overview of what you want to do. So now start chunking down what you have to do. If you want to write, let's try and keep it easy. There's say 20 days left in the month. You want to write a 2,000 page ebook, a 2,000 word ebook. You have to write 100 words a day. When you start chunking it down into smaller amounts, it becomes much easier. It's no longer this big thing that I've got to get done by the end of the month. It starts becoming something that you can manage. And this is what it's all about when you're organizing and putting your time. You can start seeing what time do you have free, how much do I have to get done. So now if your book is a 20,000 word document, well then you have 1,000 words to write every day. If it's a 200,000 word, etc., etc., you can see where I'm going with this. If you've worked out how big your project is, how big your priority is, how much work is involved with it, then you can start chunking it down for the rest of the month. And it may be that it doesn't get finished until middle of February, and it then becomes your number one priority for February. But if you don't start today managing your priority, at the end of January, it'll be, yeah, I didn't get much done. Chunking down your priorities and writing down, this is what has to be accomplished by the end of the month. This is how many days are left in it. These are all the things I have to do. So go back to that ebook that we were talking about. Now, as a part of creating an ebook, you need a cover. You need a forward. You need a table of contents. There's all sorts of things that go into it. You need to do some research. You need to get somebody to help promote it to you. You need an editor. There's a lot of things that you need in anything that you create. So again, you start documenting when they have to be done. So if you want to finish your ebook by the end of January, you can't ask for somebody to create an e-cover for it on the last day of January. It won't happen. So a week before. So again, use something like Google Calendar and create it for your number one priority and call it that. Make the calendar so obvious and just chunk in when things have to be done. You're writing a 20,000 word document, that means you've got to write 1,000 words a day. If you're sitting and talking and using Google Voice Typing, which I've talked about in previous videos, and I've got a product about it, if you're using Google Voice Typing, then you can quite easily write quite a few words every day. You've then got to go back through and edit it and tidy it up, but that's a part of creation. It's the same as you're doing software. You've written what you want the software to do, you've got to write the code for it. Nothing comes from doing nothing. That didn't come out right. If you don't do anything, If you leave it alone, then it's not going to magically appear. There's no magic fairy who's going to create it for you. So chunk out how much time it's going to take you, and then look at all the other important things that we talked about for your business and for your life that you've also had to chunk out, and you can see how much time. So if it takes you 3 hours to write 1,000 words, well, then you need to make sure every day you've got 3 hours free. It comes down to maths, comes down to all the tasks that need to be done. It needs to be identifying how long does a task take. So if it's 3 hours a day to write 1,000 words, well, then you have to make sure that every day you've got 3 hours free. If it takes you 8 hours, then every day you've got to have 8 hours free, and chunk it out. And then also it allows you to be smart in what you're doing. And this is a technique that's used, and I can't remember all of the bits and pieces with it. I'll find that information and post it later after the video is rendered. But it's about having achievable and getting results and having a smart timeline and being able to get everything that you want to be done in a time that makes sense. It's going to take you 14 hours a day to write 1,000 words, and you've only got 6 hours free, then you're not going to be able to write 1,000 words. The maths doesn't work. The time that you've got free doesn't work. So set your timelines. Get yourself set up so that you get a reminder from IFTTT that today at this time you're supposed to start writing. Use all the different tools that are around there that allow you to stop from distractions. If you can't give up Facebook, go and get some of there's programs out there that will stop you from seeing it. I've got one that I absolutely love at the moment, but it's not really suitable for work. If you're interested in it, let me know and I'll send you what the link is, and I use that quite often. But it comes down to how to manage your number one priority in January is to write down all the things you've got to do, start at the big level, think about how long each of those big things will take, then start chunking it down a little bit further by saying, okay, I want this chapter, I want this software, I want these things to happen, I want this networking event, that means I want this meeting. Whatever you're going to be doing, you have to be able to see these are all the things I need to do. And if you're not doing that, then at the end of January, you won't have anything done, or you'll only have a little bit done. So to manage your number one priority in January, you have to sit down and work out how long it will take and what you want to achieve and how you will get there. You can, I'm going to write a book. I don't know how long it'll be. Don't know what it's cover. Don't know really what it's about, but I'm going to write a book. Well, no, you're not. You're thinking about it in one day and it never comes. But I'm going to write a book. That's going to be about business automation, and it's going to have my 3 things, which are software, systems, and training. And then you start chunking down what needs to be done. And if you're not doing that, then you're not going to get anything completed. So if you want to manage your number one priority in January, start planning what you need to do and then start doing it. And that's the next step. So find out in my next video how you can make sure that you are doing what you need to do every day. And I've hinted at it already. Might have even given the idea away, but I'll talk about it more in my next video. I'm Tanya Shipman from Business Automation 101. I'll see you all in my next video. And please let me know what is your number one priority in January. See you later. Bye.